Welcome to Justified Riches Podcast. Justified Riches is a financial literacy podcast dedicated to empowering individuals with the knowledge and tools to achieve financial independence and professional success. Each episode bridges the gap between ambition and achievement by bringing together a seasoned mentor and an eager mentee for transformative conversations.
Frederick Douglass once said, "It's easier to build strong children than it is to repair broken men." And our mission here at Justified Riches is to create a stronger generation of youth through financial literacy.
I'm your host, Rich Tavarez, aka Positivity Pusher.
And I'm your other host, Justin, aka Stock Knock Life.
And together we hope that you enjoy the show, take notes, and sit down and relax.
Enjoy the episode.
One of the things about our commitment as a podcast, we started this podcast because one of the things that podcasts try to do is they always want like a big, high level, a follower with 100,000 followers, 150. Yes, and all that is good, and there's sound business judgment in that. At the same time, one of the things that we really appreciate about what we try to do is we know that it's the concept of acres of diamonds, right? Sometimes we look outside in the world, we travel 10,000 miles to find something that was literally in our backyard. So if I could be like any more excited to be introducing somebody who's a role model to me, definitely a mentor, somebody who I've got to know extremely well. Because you know what it is, especially to as a minority or as a person of color, or even maybe someone who doesn't have access to what a lot of others have access, is Marion Wright Edelman said, "You cannot be what you cannot see." So it is so critical for us to see leaders, for us to see people that have a similar skin complexion to us, for us to see people who we feel may have a similar background or may have a cultural understanding of what we may be going through. Because what's interesting is in the world of AI, what does AI thrive on? Context. And ironically, as human beings, we desperately need that context as well. Like a problem is not a direct problem. A problem has to do with, which Don will go into, a problem has to do with trauma. A problem has to do with our perspectives, our culture, what we learned in those valuable first 8 years of our alpha waves or something, but that'll go over that. Like that programming, that is the result of what we put out there. So it's so important. So it's probably the longest intro I've ever done for a guest. And of course, to all our guests, we love all our guests. But here we have. So today we're joined by someone who spent more than 15 years providing that real wealth just isn't measured in dollars, is measured in lives changed. Our guest is Don Singfield, a licensed mental health counselor. And Don, you'll correct me if I misstep on anything, but I use Perplexity to try and find information on Don. Of course, I've had the opportunity to know Don as well. He is a licensed mental health counselor, entrepreneur, community leader, and founder of Help to Adjust, a mental health organization that has been serving Long Island families since 2010. Over the course of his career, Don has helped expand access to mental health services in communities that have historically been underserved and underrepresented. And I'll pause real quick because, we go with the flow. One of the things I've learned growing up as a minority and being in these executive circles and the circles with affluent individuals is that they seek therapy. They see value in therapy. They see value in mental health. And one of the stigmas we deal with is like, hey, man, just grin and bear it, So we're going to hear so much about that from our guest. In addition, he has trained and mentored clinicians, partnered with insurance providers to reduce barriers to care, I'm pretty sure, and helped create pathways for people to receive support when they needed it most. Honestly, what makes his story particularly remarkable is the impact he's had beyond his own practice. When Don began his work, finding therapists who reflected the communities they served was incredibly difficult. So for our audience, what does that mean? Right? Education is there, information is abundant. But again, everything in life is about context. It is so important when we're getting individuals, especially sharing deep, deep things, if at all possible, that there be some kind of context, some kind of understanding, especially on a cultural level. So that's something that Don has pioneered. Today, the number of professionals serving communities of color, underserved, underrepresented, under-resourced has grown dramatically, and Don has been one of those leaders helping move that progress forward. In addition to founding Help to Adjust, he serves as a partner in New Hope Mental Health Counseling. Okay, sorry. So in addition to, Jane, cool. In addition to that, Don has really, I know he's been a part of Urban League of Long Island and a number of other very, very impactful community organizations that are just out here trying to share the information. And I'll put this down. Lastly, while I introduce Don, is one of the things we strive to do at Justified Riches is not just to provide education, because information is abundant. It's out there. It's all over the place. We all know that. Information with context, information in a culturally relevant context, and information from someone who maybe you can relate to, man, that is so critical. And that's what we strive to do as a podcast. And one of my many, many favorite quotes, because we all got quotes, we see further because we stand on the shoulders of giants. So when you see this podcast, when you see Justified Riches, when you see what we're trying to do and we're saying all this culturally relevant, Don, our guest, has been doing this for a hot minute, for years, really trying to bridge. And he's not even really on social media. When researching him, very, very small digital footprint. So like the magnanimous movements he's making, the generational impact, the timelines he's changing and creating an impact to create new branches, he's not even like out there promoting himself. So that's why we're just, bro, like so grateful to have here as our guest. And I know I broke protocol. I'm Rich Tavarez, aka Positivity Pusher. Let me introduce our co-host, please.
And I'm Justin, aka Stock Knock Life.
Excellent. And please, our guest, introduce yourself, because it is a pleasure to have you, my man.
I appreciate being here. And Rich, you also are a very community-minded person, and I appreciate you. I'm Don Singfield, LMHC, head of the Help to Adjust practice in Valley Stream, and person who wants to see mental health access grow.
Excellent. Thank you. And we're going to kick it off here because one of the reasons I was so excited and Justin was so excited as well is because everything in life is multifaceted, right? So, and I'm sure you've seen this. So you look at your health and they're like, okay, you should do this. And then, right, so it's like, oh, eat salmon or, eat fish or eat sardines in a can. And then you go ham eating sardines in a can. They're like, oh, worry about mercury poisoning. So it's like everything, we're getting these conflicting pieces of information here. So one of the reasons why we're so excited to have Don is you can be financially savvy, you can have great ideas, you can execute, but potentially if your mental health is not there, or even your awareness of the importance of your mental health and a community and understanding and perspective, right? Because, and Justin, I'm gonna pass this on to you. So why is mental health like almost correlating with financial health, especially when it comes to, let's say, bad financial decisions based on a lot of stuff we got going on up in here?
I think a lot of people don't realize how past experiences affect present decisions that you're currently making. And subconsciously you're doing it and you don't realize why you're doing it, and how past trauma, or even it may not be trauma that's outright, but past things that you've experienced, has really affected your decision making, especially when it comes down to finance. And I know a personal experience of mine is, I remember my mom always telling me the importance of saving. She always say, listen, you don't want to go broke. You got to save your penny, save your penny, save your penny. So that's all I could remember is, don't gamble with your money. You want to just save it. And that's the earlier part of my life. That's what I did. I just save. And didn't realize the importance of not only saving, but also the other part is investing, And it took a while to get past that because I used to think, oh, this is, my mom always taught me to save. I don't want to gamble my money. I, throw it away in a certain aspect. But, we have to come to a realization of how past things do affect certain decisions we're making. And we're making those decisions, not even consciously.
Yeah. In the most respectful way, I would say my father was an old black man from the South. And if you could imagine, me years ago becoming a teacher, because I also was a teacher many years ago before I became a school counselor and then went into mental health counseling. My father was happy that I had become this teacher. He was like, I'm so proud of you. Like, he was really through the roof happy. But then I became a school counselor, and he said, "You're getting too big for your britches now." And he was very serious. He was like, school counseling, that's run by the Jewish community in New York. And he was worried. This was a man who loved his son talking to me straight up from concern. He was like, you're going to get into something that you can easily be fired, because he remembered the fiscal crisis of the 70s where school psychologists and school counselors were the first ones to lose their jobs. And so, about 5 years into me being a school counselor, he came and spent a day with me on my job at East New York Family Academy in Brooklyn. And he said,
I know that school.
You know that school? Mm-hmm. He said, oh, okay, I guess you're all right, because I was working in a school and I was well respected, and he felt comfortable after that. But it's exactly what you said. When it comes to money, job security, any efforts that we make in this life, past experiences, the experience of our own parents can really affect us, because just like your mom told you to save, my dad also was saying save. And he wanted me to join a retirement plan whenever I got a job. But he couldn't explain compounded interest to me, or he couldn't explain the details of why this is important and a strategy. So, as we learn, we do need some sharpening in the way of emotional growth and mental health that helps us to do the things we need to do.
So one of the things, Jane, our podcast producer, she wants to make sure that we get the audience a chance to get to know you a little bit about your journey. So as we jumped in, it's like try to do like a Quentin Tarantino movie, to get in the moment. But what are some things, or what would you love to share about a little bit about your journey, so our audience can really get to know who you are, and maybe like what's an experience or two that kind of like made you.
Yeah. So, I was one of the first 3,000 people licensed as a mental health counselor in New York. And I knew that I wanted to do this. I went from school counseling to mental health counseling. And most states have a licensed counselor designation. New York didn't have it until 2005. And so that was a good thing that New York did. I became a licensed mental health counselor. I started the little Psychology Today page, went on to start the Help to Adjust practice in Valley Stream. And, we really have stayed in Valley Stream doing this work. But the way my work has expanded over the last decade has been that men specifically need a lot of assistance and I think attention to what is happening in their lives, because I think we mentioned it earlier in our informal talk that men often have these phrases like man up and you got to do what you got to do, and all types of other phraseology that we use to say, don't worry about what's happening, just keep going. Even when you ask men, when are you good? Oh, I'm good when everybody else is good. If my wife is all right, if the kids are all right, if my people around me are good, then I'm good. Wow. But in reality, we all have a center to ourselves, or we should know the center, the core of us, that what we need to be okay. And a lot of men who are very accomplished don't really have that.
Wow. I've heard phrases such as, what's the phrase? A real man stands on his own too. Own the pain, don't let it own you.
Ooh,
You know?
bars.
I think that is a rap bar too. I know I heard it somewhere. But I think we started talking earlier. I think that's kind of our superpower as far as being able to do those things that you mentioned, as far as, you know, if the family is good, I'm good. I think, you know, it's kind of a weird perspective that I have, because deep down I know like I have the strength to carry certain burdens. Like this is what I'm on this earth to do. This is what I'm built for, you know, to go through certain emotional distress and then be able to put a smile on my face and then go every day.
Crack a joke.
You know, go every day like nothing's wrong. I think that's part of our superpower. But at the same time, I understand at some point, like you still do need some type of a release, you know, somebody to confide in, somewhere where you're in a healthy way, right? Getting this stuff out. Just like I feel like when it comes to like when a woman gives birth, right? I have 4 kids. I've seen every birth. It's a traumatic experience. And then they turn around and like, you want to do that again? and they do it.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, that's like your superpower. Like, and most of the time, y'all don't need therapy. I mean, you have postpartum that, you know, you may need some therapy to get through, but most of the time they heal naturally. The body physically heals naturally, and mentally, they literally like forget all the trauma that they just went through, and they could go and have another baby a year, 2 years later.
Right.
You know?
It's a great point. Yeah.
So I'm like, as men, like, is being emotionally strong, is that like our superpower? Or is that like also our superpower and our weakness?
I think that a well-developed man does gain a lot of strength to carry himself and other people emotionally, and it's wonderful. However, guys are human beings at the center of it, and you know, specifically as it regards guys who are, like many of us, are doing a kind of first generation growth as it pertains to getting married, buying a house, being this family man, carrying the burdens that we carry. Like my daughter's in college now. Right. It's expensive. It's you know, you have all these responsibilities to make sure that they get where they need to go. I have a 15-year-old son. You know, where do they need to go? Where do they need to be? How do I make sure they're protected? It's beautiful, but it's potentially heavy. Right. Because if you don't have the means to, let's say, buy a house, there's a lot of people who hold a lot of pain just because of stuff that they want to do that they can't do, or they do it, but they are suffering along, maybe financially. And so there needs to be, first of all, I believe that men should have people, other guys that they are cool with, that they're able to do things with and express. Like if you love to play golf, or if you love to play basketball, right, that should be something that is yours.
Like your outlet.
Right. Just like we often say, like if a woman can't go out and you know, be with her people, her family, in the old days, American lore spoke about bridge clubs and book clubs, right? But those things, some version of them still exists for women. And I think women do a lot better with knowing that they need a center outside of their home to relate to. And I think men need the same thing, and men need to talk to each other also about the struggles and pain that they go through, because men usually feel like, man, I really shouldn't be talking about this stuff, and we just get through it. And the numbing of alcohol and weed and other things becomes part of the equation, and that's if you're using those substances in a way that's not conscious, it's not good, obviously.
I've been abusing coffee lately.
Caffeine abuse.
Caffeine abuse. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Like, we as men definitely need an outlet, a group chat, you know. And it's funny how many of us are going through the same thing, you know. And I think we feel better about it when we're just able just to talk about it freely.
Absolutely.
You know, we don't need no resolve to the issue. We just need to get it out there. You know, talk about it, and then when you see like you have other people out there just going through the same thing that you're going through, it helps.
Shout out to you for saying that, Justin, and shout out to Emblem Health, who recently sponsored a forum that I had of 30 men getting together, not for any long program where we had an agenda, where we had to, do a lot of introducing or anything. We just got together and had food and just opened conversation for us to talk, and it was amazing because people are holding all types of stuff that, if they were able to simply talk about this stuff through the years, they probably would have landed in a healthier place.
Right.
But people are now often repairing broken marriages, repairing themselves from divorces, repairing just the damage that they did, giving of themselves without having the self-awareness of what it was doing. And not that men absolutely should provide leadership and give, but not to the exclusion of the consciousness that comes with doing that. And I'll just say one more thing quickly, that a therapist...
Spit bars, brother. Feel free to... Yeah.
A therapist can be just a tool for self-discovery. This person can help you, hopefully, to talk about things that are on your mind, hopefully before or without them becoming a crisis. Because much of what we deal with really shouldn't be a crisis. It's just a crisis. Often, as I mentioned, it's first generation. We're learning to do this for the first time. We're trying to figure out the money. We're trying to figure out the, I'll hold off on that until we get to it, but parenting, you are now the parent of this child who's however old, and, like you said before about what we learned from our parents were trying to make sure we survived in my case, in Queens, in Brooklyn, and now you raising kids in Valley Stream or somewhere else, it's a whole different a skill set that you need as a parent.
What?
And as a husband or a significant other.
Don, wow. I mean, this is so cool. Like, of the many questions I want to ask you, from a financial education or even financial literacy standpoint, I remember, and just keeping it real, that I remember I was a part of this DEI. I am a part of this DEI committee at Long Island Elite Networking Group. I'm the chair, and I remember years ago, I understood the importance of getting together in a community, because sometimes, like, if we're watching something by ourselves, right, and we may see something like on a video or that may challenge our perception, what do? We immediately want to swipe, right? But when we're in an environment where we're with another person, especially a trusted person, we'll sit there and watch it. So from a wealth standpoint, and even just from a underserved, underrepresented, or minority wealth standpoint, it was very interesting to see one thing, right? So I saw a girl during the George Floyd situation, that time period, and my good mentor Bert Lurch, he had shown me a video of a African American, a black woman, saying why people should be upset, or and raising her voice. And I remember that if I was watching it by myself, I would have just been like, all right, might have moved on. But because I was watching it in that group, I stayed with it, and I left with such a profound understanding. So as we're talking about financial education and, like you said, first generation, so we're staying on your theme of first generation, other ethnic groups or other nationalities, sometimes they're the third or fourth generation with significant wealth, right? So this information is being passed on, where sometimes us, like you said, we're either trying to unlearn certain things or trying to fix certain things. So as a first generation, or in general, to help our audience, what are maybe 2 or 3 mental health practices that you see from individuals who you consider successful? And I know success can be objective. Is it your net worth? Is it something else? But in general, because I trust you, and I feel comfortable with perception of success you would share with us, what are maybe 2 or 3 mental frameworks or mental traits that you see in these individuals? And since we're talking about men that our audience could kind of focus on, are these 2 or 3 good mental health qualities that could potentially lead you to financial success, or success to at least be able to provide for your family without having the stress of not being able to pay bills and so forth?
Yeah, thank you. That's a good question. One of the things that we teach in schools is social emotional learning, right? And social emotional learning has these competencies, and one of those competencies is called social awareness. And another competency is self-awareness. And I think that those 2 things are what I see in what I would call successful men, particularly men who, as we mentioned, they don't come from a background of community leadership, or they don't come from a background of even home ownership. They don't come from a background of building businesses, but people are doing it successfully. And I think that part of it is if a person has the self-awareness to know their strengths. I'm thinking of business now maybe, but people who are able to get help with what they need to get help with. Like, so for me, I'm a mental health counselor, and I know my stuff as it regards mental health, but I don't know my stuff as it regards, I didn't at one point know my stuff as it regards business and taxes and all of the things that need to happen every day on the matter of just keeping a business going and growing. So self-awareness, because if you have the knowledge of your strengths and you have the ability to stick to something, that's going to be something I see in guys who are successful. And then the social awareness has to do with, when we took economics and other courses, we learned about the macro system and the micro system. So the micro system, let's say, is the family or what's happening in your household. and the macro system is what's happening in the society. And, you know, people who are socially conscious, socially aware, where people realize that they are not existing outside of the context of what's happening in this world, I think that's a very important element to success, so that you are not potentially a rich fool, you know, because we have to know what's happening around us in order to know which way to go in business, which way to direct your family, et cetera.
I definitely agree with that, especially working with teenagers. And a lot of times I ask them, because you want to make sure that they're, you know, self-aware and then socially aware. And, you know, I always tell them, like, if I would ask so-and-so, maybe a friend of theirs or associate, you think they would label you a good guy in this or a bad guy in their life? You know, how do they view you? You know, so being just socially aware of how others view you, you step into a room, you know, and you walk out that room, how do you think those people viewed you? You know, so that's part of being like kind of socially aware, like, and that's like a hidden skill. Somebody could decipher, walk into a room and just decipher how people are viewing them, and then also being self-aware of how you view yourself. Those are two key quality skills, because those are things that you are able to kind of work on and adjust to, you know, just to improve yourself, you know, in life. So those are skills. And some kids that I see, and these are kids sometimes I latch on, I give them jobs, you know, odd jobs to help me around at work. But kids that are able to know like how others view them and how they view themselves, I'm like, this person's going somewhere. You know, like we had to shout out to Isaiah. We had him on the podcast last year.
Oh yeah. Oh, from Eagle Boys Academy, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was a good one.
So he's self-aware. He's also socially aware. He can read the temperature in a room. And that's a skill that will take you a long way.
This is really, really good information. And this is good. And Don, thank you. Like, right, sometimes certain podcasts, you got like your formalized questions. But and I'm sure you could agree there's different parts of the brain that are utilized when you're living in the moment, or, you know, where stuff can be rehearsed. This is a safe place too. We edit, so we're not doing live there. One of the things, though, touching on two super really important things. So my grandmother, Mama Maria, she used to say, dime con quien andas y yo te digo quién eres. So, well, I'm sure your parents or tell me who your friends are, and I will tell you who you are. Right. So one of the things that I really appreciate about you is being a pioneer on establishing community. Because one of the things we're about here is a community, and it's exactly like what you said. And I'll tie it all in, because I went to Genesis. Shout out Craig Siegel. I went to the Genesis event. It was crazy, and there was a speaker, crazy dope. Speaker Eaton, who deals with some of the most successful people in the world. And of course, right, we all want to get to success. And then he said, it's like, whoa, like the most dangerous thing about success is not success. The most dangerous thing, and this is me paraphrasing, but really what I got from it is one of the most dangerous things about success is losing the people in your life who you trust, who are comfortable disagreeing with you.
Yeah. We've heard a lot of people in hip hop talk about that. Like when I became very famous, my head was swelled. I was on top of the world, and I wasn't really taking advisement because I didn't have my people around me anymore. So that's a real thing. And, I always say having allies. These could be friends. It could be family, but just having people who really have your back, it's a big deal. And people who really have your back are the people who will say to you, that's not the direction that you want to take, and here's what I think. And they'll share their thoughts with you, and you're not easily going to throw that away because these people are real allies.
And I sorry, but from your expertise here, because this is cool, right? Like obviously, we're having like cool conversation, but you are a highly trained clinician. You got a lot of certifications, which is like super awesome. When you were talking about those important social skills, how important is it to be able to have somebody disagree with you? And I know we all go through it, especially like being in relationships where they say one thing and you're like this and you're like, you're crazy, right? But like that self-awareness, because you mentioned self-awareness, and sometimes even the most self-aware people, and I'm like, full disclosure, I've fallen into this trap, even the most self-aware people, because you have that other part of the brain that's trying to preserve your ego, right? Or that's trying to like be agreeable to you to stay in homeostasis. So like, if you could just a little bit like, to frame it in, why is being able to handle criticism from the right people, right? Because don't get me wrong, you could be in a bad situation where everybody's just criticizing, then that doesn't serve, right? But from a trusted or loved one, why is being able to receive that criticism can be kind of like that safety lever to a lack of awareness, right? Because the most aware individual, you start justifying, no pun intended, but you start, right, like saying, I do this because of this and it's cool. Why is that so important to be able to receive that information and be able to stay there with that, right? Because somebody disagreeing with us kind of mess with us a little bit, no?
Yeah. So I'm gonna not try to take a long time with this answer.
Oh, you got all the time.
But I want to approach it from a odd lens, and that is that when we learned about personality disorders back in graduate school, right? There's cluster A, B, and C, and we used to call it MAD, cluster A, MAD, cluster B, bad, and cluster C, sad. So cluster A, MAD, is like the people who you would say they're really having a break with reality, like psychotic, if you have a schizophrenia or a psychotic disorder of some kind.
Like an officially diagnosed, right?
Yeah, then you really like, you can't see reality. And then bad, cluster B, bad is narcissistic, histrionic, borderline. This is literally people, antisocial, people who use bad behaviors. You would say this is not easy to deal with, or this is not even a good person. Bad, right? And then cluster C would be sad, which is like depressive, avoidant, and behaviors like that. So in our lives, when we talk about bad, like people who are narcissistic specifically, we're talking about people who really can't. They really don't have any way of being happy or positive except manipulating other people, being in the position of power, and just having the advantage in any situation. And so the reality of our lives is that we need to be in all types of situations where if you're in a relationship, that person is a partner to you. So you can't be like the powerful one all the time. You can't be, you don't ever want to use manipulation or any kind of bad behavior with them. So the way I'm approaching this is to say that we all need to be able to, self-awareness is to be able to see ourselves as multifaceted, and that is not so good at this, excellent at that, collaborator, partner to anybody who I need to be a collaborator or partner to, because in life, we really have all of these situations where there's other people to consider, whether that be family, workplace, if you're a team player, if you're doing a podcast, whatever the effort is, you need other people to be able to weigh in, and you are able to hear that. And if you're not able to, it's a deficit for you, the person, and for the situation that you're in. I hope that kind of,
Solid. I know Justin has something you want to ask.
I think it also depends to who's giving you that feedback or criticism. I think the closer that you are to that person, whether it be a sibling, a parent, or a spouse, it may be harder to take that criticism. The further that person is, their coworker, or brush it off.
Yeah.
Then the wife says something, and it's like, what?
You don't know me?
why would you say that?
Yeah, now you just ruined my whole day. I was having a great day, and then I have an issue too with that. Like, not saying I'm able to take feedback and criticism. I have an issue if I ask somebody and they give me like an answer like right away. Like, like I ask you something, they like I didn't hear a or you know what I'm saying? I didn't hear
It's threatening, possibly
So
because
relevant.
because what you had that on the tip of your tongue. You were waiting to say this,
Right?
Yeah. That's So I have it like if like did you even think of the response? Maybe you're just quick like that and you gave a response, but if I don't hear it bothers me.
particularly when it's critical feedback.
Yes,
yeah,
especially if it's critical.
right, right.
Only when it's critical. If it's good, I'll take it.
Yeah, just
Take it from everybody.
good feedback. Get it how you live. Whenever it comes,
yeah.
it just comes.
1 second, 10 seconds, I don't care.
Right.
But if it's critical, I didn't hear a pause. I didn't hear nothing.
That kind of makes sense because the Rich gets a kick out of this.
Because I can appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
It's like
The amygdala is this
pause. Like
the amygdala is this little almond-shaped organism in the back of our brain, and the amygdala is the seat of emotion, especially fear. And there are behaviors that other people do that can set off the amygdala. Like, a lot of people say, I don't care what people think of me, right? But if you walk into a room with some people that are supposed to be allies,
Right.
and somebody doesn't speak to you, like you go to greet them and they look the other way, or they seem to have some kind of problem, your amygdala will fire off a danger signal, like what
did I do?
Yeah, what's happening, what's in the air. And so when you said that you kind of your amygdala fires off if somebody gives you critical feedback at the drop of a hat. Yeah. It kind of makes sense because critical feedback should, in the best case scenario, if you're talking to your allies, people who are on your side,
allies.
even if they are like wife, brother, somebody who's like really right there all the time, you would hope that they would be reflective about what they're saying. Like, could this be damaging to the the ego or the way of being that this person currently has? So they would, you would hope that they would want to say, like, all right, this is what I was thinking.
Right.
I don't know if this is going to hit on all cylinders, but this is what I think.
Right.
Which is different from being like, first of all, you come off too this way and you're that, and you're this and you're that. It's like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Are you an ally or not?
you had that hair color for 15 years. I'm like, maybe people are bored. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
where did this come from?
Right.
I keep the beard. Do I shave it?
Get rid of it now. Not right now. Not now, but right now.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, man.
Yeah, what were we talking about?
Well, one of the things we were of the different variations. So one of the things we did touch on was, and it all ties back to the same theme. So we talked about like the importance of having people around you who are able to disagree with you. You know, because sometimes that could be a blind spot, and even your own awareness, because of the other mental things going on, even your own awareness could let you down, right, or be a liar to you, because we see, right. And this, I want to have like Don on like 3 more episodes, because there's so much stuff we could talk about.
I know we're short on time. I wanted to ask a question and related to the youth. I know Justified Riches. We kind of want to tie it back to the youth and you know, their financial wellness and their mental health wellness. What do you think, like young teenagers, especially like between the ages of like 15 and 21, what are some of the things like they need to be like working on as far as mentally, like being mentally sharp and kind of the mental wellness aspect of life they should be working on?
So, again, I'm going to approach from the back end of this question, but from the macro system level, I think that we, and when I say we, I don't mean people who have the equivalent of power of us in this room, but the society needs to invest in our young people. And, you know, some of the things, the minimum wage, I believe, needs to, even though I'm a business owner and it's scary when the minimum wage keeps going up, I think that the society needs to infuse money into opportunities for young people, and that young people need financial awareness, as we mentioned before. That needs to happen in high school, in middle school and high schools. Young people need the social awareness, the self-awareness, the ability to have people around them who are potential mentors. I was a school counselor at the Urban Assembly School for Performing Arts. It was a high school in Harlem. Still is a high school in Harlem. But when I was there, one of the things that the founding principal did was bring in mentors for every child. And when kids have people who they can actually go to and talk with about all of the confusing things that are happening, it's a great thing. So, you know, self-awareness, social awareness, you know, the ability, self-management, the ability to control yourself during a time in adolescence when so much is happening bodily and identity-wise. 12 to 19 years old, the identity phase for human beings. We are developing our identity, and our young people can't develop a strong identity without the context of guidance from people who are qualified to guide them. And when I say guidance, I don't mean, you know, do this now, don't do that now, but guidance in a more global and safe way where kids really believe they have good people around them.
Powerful.
Yeah. So as we're kind of wrapping up, one of the things that, and we've touched on so many things, but I want you to be able to articulate for the audience, community. And that's one of the things I really admire. And, you know, as I consider you a mentor, I consider you, right? Sometimes our mentors are people who meet one-on-one with us individually, and sometimes our mentors influence us just by their actions, just by being their most authentic self and living their own truth. Can be very, very inspirational. So thank you definitely for that. Thank you. So let our audience know, and this correlates to the young people too, how important is a community, but a healthy community, right? Because we can't choose our family. Unfortunately, right? We can't choose some of the traumas we're in and what our parents are dealing with, but we can go out and seek great communities like one of what you're building. So I think that's the perfect way to loop this all in. And thank you, Justin, for keeping us honest on the young people, because community, right? Whether you get older, younger, you learn so much, good or bad, and you can kind of justify positive or negative based on the community that surrounds you. So tell us a little bit about just your belief on that and some of the things you're doing in that so people could find this community.
Yeah. So, I don't know, somehow social awareness has become a major theme of just this talk that we had here. And it is wonderful that there's a lot of people in our community that are not rich. They don't have even a big amount of power. They are just simply people who are taking the knowledge base and giving it to the community. And I think we need more of that. I am, besides graduate school, I have a bunch of postgraduate training in couples counseling. So I actually believe some of the couples work that I do with people is my biggest contribution to the community, because when people are able to stay together and really be okay staying together, not people who stay together because they are like, man, I can't afford to move out of this house and you're just gonna have to live with me because.
How you doing? I'm enduring.
Right.
You enduring your marriage. You enduring your marriage.
Who's usually the major part of the issue?
I used to think
This guy is.
that's funny that you would ask that, because I used to think that it was guys, because there would be like infidelity,
Right.
and I would say, oh man, there's so many guys that are doing this cheating thing that it just seems like men are falling on the heavier side of the balance with that. But it is truly, being in a relationship is potentially an existential crisis in itself, because people have to feel good in that relationship. And a lot of women, they are, getting into their 30s or 40s and the kids are here and everything, and they simply look around and, oh, I'm not happy. I don't know that I was able to grow up enough before I had my daughter or my son, and now I'm looking at my husband and I'm not really in love anymore.
Right.
But all of this stuff is relative to your own self-awareness and social awareness. And I've seen people, exit marriages and relationships that I think they probably, if they would have done some healing, and if the other person also was willing to be on a journey, they could probably be all right. But people are not. But I didn't mean to get off into couples specifically, but the family is the center of our community, and so when families are stronger and when people need to be apart, I think it is a good thing that people find their way apart. But besides families, it's just sharing the knowledge. We need to share our knowledge, because when I'm in the room with a lot of people, including you, Rich, and Justin, people have a tremendous amount of knowledge that they could share. And the society that we're in teaches us that keep your nose down and just make it through. People are just putting out fires and getting through crises, but are not able to be in community with each other. And so any avenues that we have to create community, like some of the work I do is around fatherhood and men. I'm in schools talking to fathers, going to a school in Queens on Monday to talk to 25 fathers. So
Wow.
that is the kind of work that even if you don't have a license in something, if you have knowledge and goodwill, we all need to try to put ourselves in rooms where we are sharing that community.
Well, I would definitely love to be a part of some of those rooms. So just let me know.
Absolutely.
Justified Riches, right?
Bro, I'm even thinking of men's community, a little something for this is beautiful. Don, you've blessed us. I'm so glad that we decided where we don't try to have multiple guests. We really just try to have one for the session where we really appreciate them. And I know you have so much more to give. So I'm serious. Like within the next 2-3 weeks, got Jody. Jody's got like a July date. I'd even love to have you back because I feel like there's so many, everything intertwined. So please let our audience know where they can find you, especially to local audiences that happen to be in Nassau or Suffolk. I'm sure you do Zoom consultations or virtual consultations as well. But I will say, before Don says this, like to our audience, mental health is so important. And what happens too is, depending on the community we come from, it could be looked at like bad. It could be looked at as a weakness. Unfortunately, I've been in affluent circles. I've been in circles with individuals who are very wealthy, and to them, it's almost a necessity. Like it's not even a question. So before you hear about how to find Don, understand that. So, if we have people in our lives that think negatively about mental health or therapy, if you're going to physically improve your body and you understand the importance of that and you forsake your mental health, it's just not an equation that's going to yield the result that you're looking for. So definitely, Don, please, going back to you, where can people find this important information, culture relevant?
All right. So I want to say that if you need therapy, just know that it's low stakes and high yield, which means that there's very little risk that you take by going into therapy. And what you can get in the way of self-discovery can be a high yield, right? So 516-459-2920 is the Help to Adjust practice. Also 516-807-0743. Additionally, you can find us at helptoadjust.com, all spelled out, help, TOADJUST.com. You can find me on Instagram on Help to Adjust Counseling, Facebook, Help to Adjust Counseling, and YouTube on the Help to Adjust podcast.
Thank you. Justin, my man, my co-host, please take us home.
Yeah, before we go home, a big shout out to you, Don, pulling up to the podcast. Really appreciate you.
Pleasure.
Please, everybody check him out, helptoadjust.com. A lot of us need mental health, mental wellness, so tap in. And also a big shout out to the Knicks.
Let's
Big shout
go.
out
We
to
would
the
be
Knicks.
wrong to end without saying that.
Yeah.
Clap it up in the bit.
Yeah. Showing us all how to believe.
So the Knicks proved to us, right? 53 years that losing is not the opposite of winning. It's just a part of it, right? And that's what we try to preach here at Justified Riches, that in life you're going to take your lumps, you're going to take your losses, you got to learn from it, right? There's lessons in losing and there's even lessons in winning also. So go Knicks.
That's right. And shout out to y'all, Justified Riches podcast. Rich, Justin, it's been a pleasure, man. I appreciate being here.
Appreciate you, Don.
Thank you, Don, for blessing us. I mean, I love all our guests. I will say this one, as we learn more about, what our audience needs and mental health and everything you offer, could not have been a more relevant time. So thank you. I'm not even going to end this with anything else because our co-host closed it very, very beautifully. Don, check him out. To our community, We appreciate you. I think this is episode 12 or 13. I'm not sure. Thank you to Jane. Thank you to Nam Studios. Thank you to Jody. Thank you for the to the Aruz gals over here. 204 who came and joined because we're a family affair. And peace and love, everybody. Thank you. Jody, before we close, we always do a hug over here. So, my man, that's part of our signature. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you being here.
That's a good hug, man. Upper body strength, bro.
Appreciate you. Thank you, Jody.